Hey guys, so yesterday I beat the World Tier 3 Capstone dungeon at level 48, and I used this pretty fun lightning turret build to do it, so I just wanted to share it with you guys real quick. I had previously attempted the Capstone dungeon at 44 or 45 with a pulverized build, and it was just a little too hard. So I came back at 48 with this build and had no issues at all. Keep in mind I leveled with a few different builds and only switched to this lightning turret build at around 46 or 47. So I'm not sure it would be the best for leveling right out the gate, but when you do get into the high 30s or early 40s, I'd definitely consider it if you like how the build plays. Anyway, let's get into it. So starting off, we're going to take for our basic skill Storm Strike, Enhanced Storm Strike, and Fierce Storm Strike for that vulnerability. We're going to come down here to Lightning Storm. We're going to take all 5 points in a Lightning Storm, Enhanced Lightning Storm, and Raging Lightning Storm for that one additional strike. We do not need to take Primal because we're getting our Immobilized from a different source we'll get to in just a minute. We're going to take Earthen Bulwark, Enhanced Earthen Bulwark, and Preserving for that Fortify. Then we're going to come down and take Poison Creeper, Enhanced Poison Creeper, and Crit Chance, Brutal. Moving on down, we're going to take Hurricane, Enhanced Hurricane, and here you have a choice. If you're struggling with survivability, I recommend Savage Hurricane. Enemies affected by Hurricane deal 20% less damage. But if you are not dying that much and not struggling with survivability, I would definitely recommend Natural Hurricane. 15% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds when they're caught in your hurricane, which is really strong. So I'll leave that up to you depending on... I started with this, and as I got up towards the capstone and beyond the capstone, I've switched to this for more survivability, but both are good. We're going to take 1 point in Neurotoxin and 3 points in Envenom. Poison enemies will take 30% additional critical damage. For our ultimate, we're going to take Cataclysm, Prime, and Supreme Cataclysm. Now we need 7 points here to get down to our key passive. So what we're going to do is, these are the big lightning skills right here that are going to help us out a lot. 1 point into Elemental Exposure, 3 points into Endless Tempest, 3 points into Bad Omen. We're going to take 3 points into Electric Shock. We do not need to waste any points in Charged Atmosphere. Now we come down here and take Perfect Storm. This is a big part of the build. Storm skills that you cast grant 1 spirit and deal 15% increased damage when damaging a vulnerable, immobilized, or slowed enemy. 3 points into Defiance, 3 points into Natural Disaster, and 3 points into Resonance. Beyond that, you have a few options here. If you're just looking for more damage, I would go ahead and max out Poison Creeper and throw the additional few points into Hurricane. If you still need some survivability, I would throw 3 points into Circle of Life. And if you find yourself starved for spirit often, I would come up here and get these abundance nodes. Alright, for spirit boons, we're going to take Wariness for the 10% reduced damage from elites. We're going to take Avian Wrath for 30% crit damage. We're going to set Wolf as our spirit bonding so we can get 2 nodes here, and we're going to do Pack Leader. Critical strikes have up to 20% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills. Calamity, extend the duration of ultimate skills by 25%. Lastly, we're going to take Overload. Dealing lightning damage has up to 20% chance to cause the target to emit a static discharge, dealing lightning damage to surrounding enemies. Now for the legendaries, only pay attention to the aspects I'm using here because some of these gear pieces I've replaced already since yesterday. So don't think I had these stats and all this good gear when I did it at 48, because I didn't. In fact, my weapon was yellow with nothing on it, and I think one other piece was as well. Anyway, you don't need many aspects to make this build work very well. There's a couple I found to work. So as this build is a turret build where you're essentially standing still channeling your lightning storm the entire time, this inner calm aspect synergizes really well as you deal increased damage every second you stand still up to 30%. The better roll you can get, the quicker you're going to get to that max stack of 30%, but even the basic one still works great, and you'll be at that max damage most of your gameplay. Next up, this one restores primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. And as you know from the skills, we're doing a lot of crowd controlling. So this is going to be another big spirit boost for you. This is just the unique ring that everyone receives at the end of the campaign, I believe. It's not 100% necessary. It's just the best one I have, and it also is kind of nice to get that resource back. On my weapon, I have hurricane damage is increased by 14% each second while active. Now this is doubled because it's on a two-handed weapon. Normally on a regular piece of gear it's only 7%. However, the 7% will give you 60% increased damage on your hurricane by the end of the 9 seconds that your hurricane lasts. And if you have it on your two-handed like I do, it's up to 120% increased damage by the end of the 9 seconds on your hurricane. On my gloves, I'm using this one. Up to a 10% chance when dealing lightning damage to overload the target for 3 seconds, causing any direct damage you deal to them to pulse 728 additional damage to surrounding enemies. As far as the defensive aspects, none of them are required. Just pick what you think is best to keep you alive. I have this stacking armor for every damage. It lasts 4 seconds and it goes up to 45%. The other defensive aspects I'm using are the barrier you get when you damage an elite enemy and the increased bulwark duration. Because the only Earth skill we're using is bulwark, we will not receive the second portion of this aspect. However, the increased duration is good enough for me. For gems, I would recommend rubies in your armor slots for the increased maximum life. For your weapon, if you do have any, I would recommend sapphires for the increased critical strike damage to crowd-controlled enemies. And for your jewelry, I would recommend skulls for the armor. For the gameplay, I just try and group up as many mobs as possible before starting my rotation. Keep Bulwark up for defense, cast Poison Creeper and Hurricane once you have the mobs grouped up, and save Cataclysm for multiple elites, as it's usually overkill for normal mobs. Channel Lightning Storm as much as possible, and weave in Storm Strike if you run out of Spirit. While you're in a fight, you're going to want to keep an eye on Poison Creeper on your bar, as the cooldown will reset often when you proc Pack Leader, and you want to use it as much as you can. You're also going to want to keep a close eye on your health and be ready to dodge or use potions, as standing still can be dangerous against certain elites. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I hope this build is fun for you guys and helps some of you get through the Capstone dungeon. Thanks for watching.